Hi, Crafty Crystal here. You see this gorgeous pattern? This is called the Brocade Throw. I found it on redheart.com. It looks so complicated. It looks so elegant. It's just has a rich look to it. And this is something that even though they say it is, you need experience to do, I'm telling you, each tiny individual part of this is so simple. You have double crochets, single crochets, single crochets and chain, single crochets and chain, double crochets, single crochets, a double, single, single, triple crochets. I mean, you can do this. You can do this, and you're going to have a jaw-dropping time when your friends and your family see what you've done. Let's get started. Now here is your redheart.com. This is their webpage where they have the Brocade Throw, and it's a free download. When you download it, you get your Adobe Reader. It shows you everything you need to know. It uses 4 colors, and it gives you the rows that each color will be used on. You fill in your own colors here. And as you can see, it says experienced. Some patterns will say advanced instead of experienced. Don't let that throw you. You are going to ace this. Trust me. You are going to ace this. It calls for 3 skeins of each of 4 colors, and the skeins are the Super Saver, which are 7-ounce skeins. So we're not talking, 3-ounce skeins. We're talking about 7-ounce skeins. And if you go to the bottom here, you get to see some different samples of the colors that they use. You have the brown and tan, purple and green. There's a bright orange and yellow one. There's another bright one. See what you can do? Now look at this bottom left one. See how cattywampus it is? That's what happens when you don't connect your colors properly. They've got to be, your central flower, when you start your flower row, has to be put in the right place, or you get cattywampus. These are pretty centered. The orange one's off a little bit. Your green and purple and white are good. This green and purple is perfect. Really nice. And the brown one's cattywampus a little. But that'll all be in the placement of where you put your loops. So that's what the pattern looks like. That's where we get started, and let's go and see how we do it. Are you ready to see how really easy it is to tackle this? You have your 4 colors. This is my A color. This is my D color. This is my B color. This is my C color. And your A's and your D's are always going to be the same. The other 2 will change back and forth. Here you have the B and the C. The C and the B. The B and the C. But as you can see, the A's and the D's remain the same. That gives you your continuity. That's what makes the pattern look so nice. So we're going to start with our center A. And whether you like to start with chains or magic circles, on these circles you're going to have to start with chain. You can start the center one with a magic circle if you want, but the rest have to be chain. So I'm going to show you how we start every single flower. with a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now you turn it around, you come back into your very first stitch. Just like that. And you pull the loop through the beginning of your chain and the end of your chain. And you just slip stitched a little chain of 4. See there? Got a tiny little circle. Now you can do this with or without a chain 1 to begin. I'm using a chain 1. And I'm going to count that as my first. I need 6 single crochets in this little circle here. So I'm going to count that as 1. Bring through a loop. Wrap. Bring through a loop. That's 2. That's a single crochet. Bring through a loop. And through 2. That's 3. 4. 5. 6. There we go. Now, I'm going to count using the one on the hook. I'm going to count it. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because when this one is connected to this one, it'll be a bridge that makes the 6th. So I counted my bridge to start with. You understand what I mean by that? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because when I put this over here, this is the one that was on my hook. And it became the 6th stitch. Okay? Now, we need, whoops, I don't need the tail. Come back here. We need to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to make our 6 petals. And we're going to go into these 6 stitches we made. So here's the first stitch, and we're going to put 3 double crochets into each of these 6 stitches. Don't you bundle up on me. There we go. And we're going to chain 3 and do it again in the next stitch. Now a double crochet is wrap, go into your stitch, pull out a loop, wrap, pull through 2 loops once, wrap, 2 loops twice, and 2 is a double. Wrap, go back into that same stitch, pull up your loop, through 2 once, through 2 twice, and that's your double. Okay? Very simple. Just stick her in that hole, pull up your loop. 1, 2, 3, chain. Now you go on and do that around. And we're going to do 6. Okay. Now while I'm doing this, you look at the pattern. You see all the flowers, and the reason why you cannot use a magic circle to make the rest of the flowers is because of the way they are attached. You see how they're all kind of interwoven in here? Each of these is a loop. This is the chain 3 loop. This is the chain 3 loop. The chain 4, you have to stick the tail down in there and pull it up the other side, and then you connect it. Now, you could probably figure out a way to do that with the magic circle, but you know, it would be such a pain. This is really easier. Much. I've been pointing and talking instead of crocheting. I'm almost done with my 5th group around here. Or is it my 6th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 5th. And chain 3. I'll come back and go in my last loop. 1 double, 2 doubles, 3 doubles, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to come in here, at the top of my triple. And you see the top here? Go through the back loop, and you see the bottom of the chain here? So you've got a chain 3. See this one right here? That one? We're going to go through this, and we're going to go through the top of that. That's what you remember to do whenever you're making something like a bag or a hat or a purse or anything that you're going to keep going around and connecting. That'll give you a really nice connection all the way up, and it's not real visible. Where's my scissors? Somebody stole my scissors. Okay. Now we just cut the thread, pull the yarn through our last loop, and if you want to make it nice and neatly tight, you pull this part back first, and then this one. There's your knot. Okay? Alright. Now I'm going to set this aside. Up a little bit. Excuse me. And I think for the sake of the camera, I'm going to use this darker color. You can see it better. Uh-oh. Kitty cat wants to help. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, normally you would put your loop in here, but we need to attach it to the flower. Now look at your flower. You see the difference between the back and the front? The front, you can see all the stitches, and you can see the little wraps on them. And the back has all these funny little bumps on them. Looks like a bunch of little knots. That's because your back shows the bumps on the back of your chains. See here? See what the back of your chain looks like? That's what the back of your part looks like. See? So, make sure that you are looking at the front. And you stick this little tail right down in here through one of these loops. Just like that. In fact, I'm going to do it over here where I can cover up my connection. Okay. Now you bring this through. Boop, boop, boop. I have tails all over the place, don't I? Okay. Excuse me. Gonna go through. Now we go through the tail of the loop. And we want to bring through a loop. Slip stitch it. Now that's just like we did on the other one with a lot less trouble. And for these little ones, I'm not going to chain one, but I am going to count this as 1, 2. Make sure they're kind of loose. You need them loose. Okay? So it's a long stitch. 6 of these have to make a whole circle. 3. 4. See how long they look? That's 3 around that half. 5. Would you any help? Yeah. and 6. Now there's actually only 5 loops, but that's where I come around to this first long loop and connect this to that, and the one on my hook becomes the 6th loop, the 6th loop, okay? Now we're going to chain 2, just like we did. You see that? That's the back of the pattern. Before you attach, make sure you're working on the front of the pattern, okay? Before you attach, make sure you're working on the front of the pattern, because you can get twisted around. Okay. Now, I'm turning this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Got all twisted around here. I want to go back down to here. Okay, so I've come through with my 6th stitch. I got the front of my center piece here. I got my 6 crochets. I'm going to chain 2 instead of 3, because the third one is going right into this next hole, the next chain 3 hole, and we're going to pull a loop up through the hole through the stitch. So our chain 3 is a chain snag 3, okay? Now wrap. I'm going to go back into this first stitch, and we're going to put 2 more double crochets, which is wrap, go in, bring up a loop, through 2 loops, through 2 loops. Now this first one counts as 1, 2, 3. And again, we're going to do 1, 2, 3 chains. Wrap. And we're going to do 3 double crochets in this one. 1, 2, 3. Wrap. Go down into the third one. All the rest of the flowers only have 3 petals. Only the center one has 6. Now we've done 2 of the 3 double crochets in this set, and we need 3 just like the other side. But what we do here is we're going to start out where we pull through 2 of the stitches, and to finish this one, instead of wrapping and pulling through these 2, we're going to sneak through this hole first and then grab our loop and pull it through these 2. Now we didn't extend the stitch, we just grabbed a loop and pulled it through, but we grabbed it through here. So it is thoroughly connected. See there? Okay. Now we can snip it. Pull our thread up through our loop. Here we are. Okay. Now we do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to do this one a little faster. You can go back to the first part if you want to see it a little slower. 2, 3, 4. Stick the loop through, making sure you're on the front side. Come here, you. Put the hook through the first loop. You loop through, slip stitch, out of there, and 1, 2, 3, Whoops. Make sure you don't go through your underlying thread. 4, 5, 6. Come back here to my first long loop. Slip stitch. Chain 2. And making sure I'm on the front side, I'm going to come over here and put it in this loop. Now all you guys who are right-handers, you're going to be putting them into these loops. Us southpaws, left-handers, we've got to put them in this loop. Now in that same loop, we put the 3 double crochets. We have one. Oh, you know those tails drive me nuts. I would strongly suggest that you do your tails every step of the way. So every row or two, you want to go back and put all your tails in. There is nothing worse than getting to the end of a project, and instead of being joyful that you're done with it, you look at the back and you have a whole forest of tails to put away, and it's like, takes all the fun, all the joy out of actually finishing. In the same way with these squares, they have so many different layers. Whoops. Okay. I'm a-talking. I almost went overhead and finished my double crochet like that. And in order to finish it, we want to go through this one and pull the loop through it and through those. Okay? Okay, there we are. Now, we have our center. Now we're going to put this outside edge on here. And that's not hard at all either. I'm going to switch to one that I took the tails off of. I only have one tail to make sure I know where the center is. I can't work with those tails. They're driving me nuts. Okay. So now I go to my D color. Come on, baby. That's a good boy. And in the pattern, she usually says cast on with or connect with a single crochet. And that means you make your loop on your hook, your slip stitch, and then you come down into your piece like this, and you make a single crochet. So just like when you're making a regular single crochet, you have your loop on your hook, go into the stitch you want to make your single crochet in, bring up a loop, wrap your yarn, pull it through both. You made your single crochet. Now we need 4 in each of these corners. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you remember to look and make sure you're working on the right side? We're on the right side. Okay. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet in the end of each of these. And since we're all doing every row on the top in the same direction, the loop that approaches a post is the one that belongs with it. So you know every time this one here is your first one of this set. This one here on this end is not part of this set. This is part of your chain. This one here, see, this is the loop that approaches. This is the one that belongs with it. So we're going to make 1, 2, 3, and 4 singles in the loop again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in each of these. 1, 2, 3. And we've got the rest of this little loop that we connected our flower onto. We're going to put 2 in those. So our little side loops here are going to get 2 each. 1, 2. You can consider the other 2 as being hidden over here in the flower. And then 1 in each of these. And then another 2 in this hole. Now, right here, you know that this one belongs to the chain, this one belongs to here, this one belongs to here. You need one for this last one. Now if you look here, here's your chain that goes up for your single crochet. The one that leads to it is the one that's going to be your stitch that you're going into. So you want to go behind this, and you're going to have to share this stitch with this line, but you're going to share it on either side of this bump. So here's looking at it sideways, you can see the chain that goes up for your first stitch. You're going to come in behind that for your first single crochet for the bunch. Now you're going to go in front of it for your second single crochet of that bunch. And the third one's easy. Stick it right there where it's supposed to be. You're going to run through this all along, all kinds of places. You got to know what you're doing. You're going to be doing this flower a lot, 36 of these, and you're going to be doing 2 sides. So you need to know where to go to and where to avoid. Okay, now we're going to do 4. One in each of these. Now we can speed it up. We've done the long talking. We can just get on with it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this hasn't been hard so far, has it? Just chains and doubles and singles. Chains and doubles and singles. That's pretty much it. Whoops. This is the one that goes with these. That's the one I have to go into. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. What is it, babe? Now over here, we did our chain, and we have to do our 3 here. So I'm going behind this for my first chain, in front of it for my second, single crochet, in front of it for my second single crochet, through this one for my third crochet. Now I'm going right into the top of this first single crochet. Pull up a loop, and snip. Okay. Now with this slate on top, you can see that your next color is going to be the alternate color that you use for your flowers. See? It's going to be the one you use for your outside flowers. And placement is very, very, very important. So you want to start with your first single crochet in the very top center of your flower, of any end petal, either end. You see this shaft and this little hole here, this little part here? This is the top that belongs to this shaft, the center. This single crochet that went into that hole, this is the top of its hole, of its shaft. That's where you want to stick your crochet hook and connect with a single crochet, just like we did for this round. This will put everything, every flower, the entire straight or cattywampus attitude of your whole square in perspective if you make this first stitch correctly. Okay? Now you chain 1, 2, 3, you skip 1 crochet, go into the next, do a single crochet, 1, 2, 3, skip 1 crochet, go into the next, just like that all the way around. Skip 1, go into the next. Okay. Here we have the knot. See where the knot came together? And you want to know, do I include that knot or not? If you started where I did, which was at the beginning of your 4 single crochets here, you will always skip that knot and not have to worry about it. So here's the one you're skipping, here's the knot, here's the one you go into. If you're not sure, you come back to your center of your flower, skip 1, here's one you use, skip 1, here's one you used, and that shows you that you're right. That is the stitch that you want to go into. Just like that. It really helps to count backwards sometimes from where you need to be to where you are to find out if you're skipping, missing, adding, subtracting. It'll just let you know where you are. Okay, here's my last 3. You see here you have your 1, 2, 3 for your chain. So this one is your single crochet right there. That's the one you want to go into to slip stitch your part together. Now you had 48 single crochets around your ring. You've gone back and you've made all these loops every other stitch. So now you have 24 loops. We are going to come once again and we are going to load the next color, and we're going to be going a single crochet in every one of these loops around, and again we'll have 24 loops, and the loops will be centered over the ends, over the corners, with the others in between. Okay, let's pull out A again, and again we'll start from a single crochet with a slip stitch. And it doesn't matter where you started, any one of these holes will work. Make a single crochet, chain 3, and single crochet. No problem. 1, 2, 3. You just did it all the way around with this pretty little color B here, and we're just going to do the same thing with our A. Okay? Do that all the way around. Single crochet, chain 3. And as I mentioned, 1, 2, 3. You come here and do it in the center. See here? Because you made this post in the center of this flower, your loop is going to be in the center of the flower, and that's where you're going to put your end petals. See there? That's in the center of the flower. Your loop is in the center of the flower, and your next flower can go right on top of it. And that's the lineup you're looking for. Okay? All right, I'll meet you around. Okay, this one's done. See how much we've done of this complicated pattern. See there? Okay. Shouldn't be scared of these patterns. Even if it says advanced, walk through it. You can ask somebody. Crochet Crowd usually has somebody that'll answer you. You can email or message me and ask me a question, and I'll need the pattern you're working on. So either take a picture of a pattern if it's a bought pattern or a book pattern. Take a picture of the spot you're having trouble with, and send it to me. If it's something on the internet that's not a bought pattern, so I can get to it, send me the URL. Tell me what parts you're having trouble with. I'll help you with it. I love doing that stuff. I get a kick out of it. Okay, now take our tail from our chain 4. We stick it right through this end loop. You want to do it through one of the end loops so that you know that you've got the right lineup. Because if you start it just anywhere, like here, and you come over here and you're going to have a hole. You're going to have a flower here and a flower here, and you won't have your flower when you need it. So best bet is to stick that little puppy, stick that tail right in there, front to back. Always do front to back. That way you'll be consistent. And I'm going to do the first one with you because of the way it's connected. But it's the same way you did these and these. The only difference between these flowers and these flowers, the only difference is you chain 2 in between every petal. Chain 2. These are all chain 3. And the reason for that, I think, is to make this big enough that these don't become a total ruffle. As it is, they tend to ruffle a little bit. But it gives some texture to the blanket when you're done. So go ahead and do this part. Y'all know the ticket. I'm not going to make you watch this. Okay. Now, the difference between the way these are made and these are made is actually... Okay. Now, the difference between the way these are made and these are made is actually pretty minimal, in that what you did was you came over to the next space. Even though it was a chain link space on the center, still you came back to the same space. You went forward to the next space, okay? On these you have 24 spaces and you're going to have 12 flowers. So every other one, you're going to start your flower, and every other one is going to be where 2 flowers link to. Okay? So I chain 2. I'll go through the link in back of me. If you're right-handed, you'll be doing this one. And you've connected your petal. Now when you come around the other side, you'll be connecting this flower right here. So you're going to have one hole where 2 flowers are connected, and one hole where you put the ring in, all the way around. That'll give you 12 flowers. So you just do your 3 doubles. and chain 2. Remember, these are all chain 2. Do your 3 doubles. And you chain 2. And third set. 1, 2. You start your third, pull it through 2, and you want to, here's the one you're in, here's the very next one, you go down in that one and pull your link through. And there you have your first of your edge flowers, and it's centered right over here, just like that. See? Now your next flower is going to connect right here. You're just going to go to the very next hole because you have to back up to this one to connect it. And then you go forward to this one to stop it. Okay? So give me a minute. I'll be back. So I made the next ring. Chain 2. Come right down in here next to this guy, one where I ended the last one. Pull up my slip stitch. Continue my bunches. Whoops. I'm going to try to continue my bunches. You can continue your bunches. I'm going to play with mine, looks like. Okay. How are you doing on yours? Are you trying it yet, or are you just looking through the video? Remember, 2 stitches in between, not 3 like we did in the middle. What colors are you using? One thing I like about Crochet Crowd is they'll have everybody send in a picture of what they're working on. We all do one project, say, and then everybody sends their picture in, and you get to see all the fantastic ways that people figure out how to do this. Different color combinations, numbers of colors used, all make such a difference. It's incredible. Okay, my third set, got 2 loops on my hook. This is the loop I'm working in. This is the very next loop. Go in there, pull through that, chop her off. You can see why you can't carry this thread through. Whole lot of threads. Big bunches. Too many, don't want to go there. Okay, now you go ahead and go around and make your flowers. And you should have one where your 2 ends are meeting, like this. One that you have your ring in. The very next one will be where your 2 ends are meeting. The very next one will have your ring in it. All the way around, you'll have 12 flowers. Your next flower on the other end will be right over the center of that petal. So you'll have one there, and one there, and one there, and there, and there. See? All the way around. It'll work out just right. And I'll come back when I've done mine. I want to have a lot of ends to put in, so I want to stop and put all my ends in before I go on to the next level. Probably be a good idea if you do it too, if you haven't done it already. Okay, so I'll see you when we come back. We'll be finished with this row, and we're going to do this one. Okay? See you then. All 12 petals are done. And got all my tags done in except one, so I can see at a glance which is my front, which is my back. Remember, all the rows we do are all done on the front. So, for left-handers, you're going to want to start in any one of these corners. For right-handers, you're going to want to start at any one of these corners. So you start in the corner of the hand that's doing the crocheting. Now the instructions say start with a single crochet. So I'm putting the loop on my hook, go through my corner, and come up and do my single crochet. That's how you connect with a single crochet instead of a slip stitch. Then you do 2 more in the same hole. Now everywhere around here you're going to be doing 3 singles in every hole, okay? Every one of these gets 3. Every stitch, double stitch in between gets a single crochet in it. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then the 3 single crochets in the hole. And then 1 in the first one, 1 in the second one. And now we're going to connect the last one on this side to the first one on this side. So we're going to go through here and pull up 1 loop. We're going to go through here and pull up 1 loop. And pull through all 3 loops. That's a single decrease done on both petals at the same time. Now we're going to do single crochet in that petal, a single crochet in this petal, and 3 singles here. Now, that's the easy way to do it. However, I don't like to use this stitch for this column. See that? This is actually supposed to be the stitch that goes with these. But because of the way it's connected over here, you don't really have a stitch to work with. So what I prefer to do is I'll go in this side, bring up this loop, and I'll go right down in the back of this little bar. See this little bar here? Go right down through there. And I connect it there. Then I have this stitch that goes with this bar, and this loop that goes with this bar, and that's much more the way it should be. It just means taking a little extra trouble to get down in back of this little barred loop here. And you have to remember to leave room. You're going to have to pull it apart so you can get into this stitch, because when you push it up, you're not going to see this stitch as well. This is the next stitch you want to go into. So let's go through that again. We do 3 singles in the corner. And this loop that leads onto this one, that's the one that goes with it. This loop goes to that one. This loop goes to that one. And these 2 loops are your chain 2. We're going to put 3 singles in there. See that? Now we have 1, 2, 3. So we go in the first one, second one, and the third one. All we want to do is pull a loop through. And we come down here in back of this little bar. We're going to sneak down in here and pull up a loop. And that'll be the connected single. We go through all 3 loops at a time. Now see how this was kind of almost hiding? We're going to go down into that. Do our single. Down into the next one. Do a single. So that gives us the connected one, which is 1, 2, 3 for these 3. And then you just continue on around. Just like that. Okay. That's what you want to do with all 12 petals and come back. I'll do it one more time to come over and connect to this petal. And then I'm going to leave you to do your part while I do mine. And we'll be back for the next row. So that's one single crochet in the end of each of your doubles. 3 single crochets in the chain 2 space. Then 1, 2, and you only go into the first and pull up a loop. You don't complete your single. And you come over here and go back of this little bar. Like that. Bring your loop through all 3 loops, and that's your connected single. You come back in here, the bar is going to have cover it. See how it covers it? So your loop is hiding right there on this side of the bar. Pull up and do your single, and your single, and you're on your way around again. Okay? So I'll meet you back around, and we'll add our next color on the outside. You know we're almost done. Look what a beautiful complicated pattern you've made, and it's been simple every step of the way. It just looks complicated when you put it all together. Okay, see you. Well, it's getting bigger. We've got this row, these flowers, and that row to go. We're working on this one now. This takes 5 single crochets centered over each outside petal of our flowers. See here? We're going to be centering 5 over each of these petals, like that. And then we come down in here and we connect the 2 petals together with a connected double crochet. I modified mine, so I'll be showing you my way and the way it's done on the written pattern. Okay? Okay. Now I'm casting on with a single crochet. Left side is this side, right side is this side. Make sure you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centered over your petal. So just put my hook through there, finish my single crochet, and do 4 more. And I have 5 across the top of my petal, just like that. Now we're going to chain 2, and now we're going to do our little connection bit. First I'm going to show you how it's done in the book, and then I'm going to do it my way. I want to, not the book, the written pattern. You do it just like you do any decrease of a double crochet. You wrap, come down 2 stitches, you go into that stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, bring through 2 loops. Now that's the first half of your decrease of a double crochet. Then you wrap, you skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and you come into the 4th, pull a loop through, pull a loop through those 2 loops, and now you have 2 halves of a decreased double crochet and the loop on your hook. Wrap your yarn over, pull through all 3, and there you have your decreased double. Okay? That's how she does it. I have a different preference. I'm going to wrap, skip my 2, go in, pull up a loop, skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, go into the 4th, pull up a loop, and I go through 2 loops, and then I go through all 3. I kind of like this little bar, truncated bar thing better than the V. Personal preference. I showed you first how to do it on the written pattern. Okay? 1, 2 stitches. Your 3rd stitch should be the top of these centered 5. If it's not, then you can take this stitch out, find your stitch, go back 2, and then go into your 3rd stitch down. 2 ways to locate. In case you made a mistake somewhere along the way, that'll be a good way to smooth it out. Just go back and count down from your 5th stitch up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2. And remember, I'm doing this my way, not the way in the book. I'm doing a modified decrease. I wrap, go into my 3rd stitch down. There's my 5 stitches here. Wrap. I don't wrap. Sometimes I wrap. I go into the 3rd stitch down, go through 2 loops on my hook, go through 3 loops on my hook, and I end up with this little Christmas tree here. 1, 2, and I'm back to my 5 stitches on top of the petal. Now you can modify yours whatever way you want to. There's no reason why you couldn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a couple different ways you could do it. As long as you make it tall as a double crochet. What other way could you do? You could do it that way. Still comes out looking pretty much the same. You can make it thicker by wrapping and coming through, and then wrapping and coming through, and then go through 3 and 3, like that. Or you can wrap and go through 1 here, 1 here, go through all 3, and then do another one on top. That makes it even closer, and it makes it still makes it as tall as a double crochet. So as long as you're consistent, do it whatever way you like to do it. This is crochet, and crochet is very freeing, and you can do whatever the heck you want to do. As long as it comes out, if you're trying to follow a pattern, pretty close to the pattern, so you don't mess yourself up in counts. You always want to make sure you have your 5 on the top and your 2 in between whatever you do down here. You could put 1 in each one of these and gather it all together. As long as you have your 2 count up here, your 1 for your gathered stitch, your 2 count here, and your 5 here. Then you won't mess up, okay? So you go on around and come back here, and we're going to put those 2 outside flowers on. These right here. These are done the same as these, except they use triples and they have chain 3, just like we did on the middle ones where we did chain 3. We do chain 3 on these, and we do the triples. I think we do chain 3. I'm going to double check that. Hold on a second. Nope, chain 2 between. Good thing I checked my notes. Okay, so we'll be doing a chain 2 on each one of these. So I guess the only place you do a chain 3 is right here in the middle flowers. These are chain 2 and these are chain 2. Okay. See, these 2 here are the first 2 I made. Period, ever. This was my very first one. Then I did this one. So I'd have a little bit of experience to work on this, but I have remembered all the spaces. I still have to go back and check my notes once in a while. So going around, and we'll come back and do the flowers. Okay, we're going to do the corner flowers. We start them just like every other one with a chain 4. And now where to connect them? These really are going to be on the corners. You have 3 flowers on each end. You have 3 flowers on each side. So you have 4 corners, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to take this bottom chain here, and with your 3 flowers, make sure your center one is centered lengthwise. Come over here, and we're going to stick this right through here. Whoop. And that's where we're going to form our chain at. So instead of going down through on the outside, we're going to go crosswise on the inside. Like that. Okay. On these others, we went down through an existing chain. This one we're going across it. So that is how it should look right there. And chain 1 and do your 6 single crochets inside. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Come through here. Come on through here. Okay. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the 6th one. And that's the one I want to go through. With a slip stitch. And there's my little circle. Now, these count as 2, so you got your chain spaces 2. So you want to go up 1, 2, 3 of your 5. That should bring you to the center of your 5 center stitches. We'll go right through there. Whoops. Shall we start the petal first? Don't you think that would be a good idea, girls? Okay. First, now these are going to be triples, which usually have a chain 4 to start. We are going to chain 1, 2, and 3, and our 4th chain will be completed in the middle of our 5th of our 5 chains here. 1, 2, 3. We want the 3rd from where we made our connection at. Come through and slip stitch. Now for triples, we got to wrap 2 times. We're going to come right back in that same stitch that we came up from. And we have 4 stitches on the hook. Wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. So that's 3 sets of 2s, and that's what makes it a triple. Wrap 2 times, bring a loop up, and we go 1, 2, and 3. Now we chain 2, wrap, wrap, and we go into the next stitch. And we go through 2, 2, and 2, 3 times. Wrap, wrap, go in there and pull up a loop, and 2, 2, and 2, 3 times. Make our last triple, chain 2, wrap, wrap, go into our 3rd stitch, 2, 2, and 2. Another triple, 2, 2, and 2. Now this last one, we wrap 3 times, go into the hole, we go through 2, we go through 2, and instead of wrapping and pulling through the last 2, we're going to count 5 stitches over. So this is our 2 stitches. Okay, 3, 4, 5. If you count it from this way, it'll be 1, 2, 3. So we are right in the middle of our petal. And there's our corner flower. Let's pull that through. Whoops. There we go. See how simple that is? So, you make your ring. You start it just like all your others. only you're doing triples. And counting this chain as 2, you go 3, 4, 5, and connect. On the other side, counting the chain as 2, you go 3, 4, 5, and connect. Okay? You put your other 3 flowers on, and all we have left to do is the border. Crafty Crystal with the last part of this beautiful brocade throw. Crafty Crystal with the last part of this beautiful brocade throw. The last section here begins with the solution to a problem that I found. I just made it on the end and inserted it. So you actually have the solution before the problem. And that's this section here on the sides. So don't get confused. I'm going to show you tell you what the problem was, what the solution is, and then I'll go on with the original video, which unfortunately explains the problem all over again. Okay, here we go. Adding this into the middle of my row 10 because I made this is the 8th one that I've made, and I finally found out what I did wrong. And apparently it's going to work out just fine, so I'm going to continue doing wrong. My my squares look just fine. They match up fine. I don't see any problem with adding the ends on. It's going to make a lovely pattern. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue my mistake. But I wanted to show you I wanted to tell you the correct way to do it according to the pattern. Now I racked my head over this. I could not figure out why I wasn't getting the right number of stitches. Duh. You can read something 7 or 8 times and still miss the point. Still miss something. And I did read it about 7 or 8 times. When I told you how to make these flowers, okay, I said you go over 5 stitches because that's how I understood it. So you have the 2 stitches for the chain, the 3 here, that makes it in the middle of your petal. Okay? It doesn't say that. It says 5 single crochets, which means your triple is supposed to go to the end of here. Now, when it goes to the end of there, you have 5, these 5 stitches here, plus 5 here, which is your 2 stitches, your connected stitch, and your 2, that's 5. Your 2, your connected stitch, your 2, that's 5. That's 5, 10, 15. Now, what I'm curious about is how I managed to keep coming up with 18. When I came up with 19 on the side, it was at least correct as far as not using these last 2 stitches. So somewhere along the line, it's the way I was looking at the stitches to connect my corners to. But see, it's coming out lovely. Coming out just lovely, even with my mistakes. Like I said, crochet is very forgiving. And this is a lovely pattern. It doesn't seem to mind that I didn't do my triple flowers out to here. It's working. The last 2 squares I did, because I stopped making them all during Christmas time because I was finishing up presents. I came back and I did 2 single crochets in each of these corners on this row, and it's supposed to be 3. See any big difference? It didn't mind that I did 2 single crochets instead of 3. The only difference is I found it inconvenient to skip 2. I just did the stitch on either side of the connected single. It worked fine for me. Looks the same. Same size. All those different mistakes. And it's still a pretty pattern that still comes out. Don't beat yourself up if you make mistakes. If it works, then you just created a personalized alternative to the pattern, and you are the creator, okay? Instead of calling it boo-boos. Okay, back to what I made before. Okay, are you ready for the last round? Come a long way. Excuse me. Now there's a problem I have with this pattern, and I have no idea why. I count and I recount. The first one I took apart and put together 4 times because I had this trouble. Her pattern says there are 15 stitches on each side. 15 from here to here to here, along here. I kept coming up with 18. And this time one of my sides is 19. Don't know what I did. I went back and checked. I got 2 stitches between each. All the usual culprits are here. I don't know why, but I'm going to make sure that it has 18 on each side, because these 2 have 18 on each side, and that'll make it even for connecting. So as long as you make sure that all your pieces have the same number from here to here on your final row, you'll be fine. Okay, it shouldn't be a big problem. Just make sure that you have your 3 stitches, your, is it 2 stitches or 3? Two single crochets in each space here. So you should have 3, 2 singles, 3, 2 singles, 3, and then make sure you have the same amount on each one on each side. Probably it'd be a good idea to do 2 to this stage before you put the end, and count your spaces and see what's happening on your pieces. Like I said, the other 2 pieces I did were 18 on all 4 sides. This one is 18 on 3 sides and 19 on 1. I don't know why, but I want to make sure I come out 18 on all 4 sides to match my others. And that's essentially the most important part. Make sure that your stitches come out the same, so when it goes to connect them, you won't have a problem. Okay? Now, there's a little difference with how you treat the sides on this one. We're going to go ahead and start on the flower. I'm going to connect with a hole with a double stitch. Put another single crochet in. And then you want 1 in each of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 2 in the corner. Whoops, I forgot something very important. I really messed you up. Okay, on this one here, on the central petal of each corner, you want 3 single crochets. I just saw myself doing that and said, wait a minute. It would help if you had an instructor that really knew what she was doing, wouldn't it? But at least you know you can be a beginner or an intermediate and still be able to do these patterns. Just make sure you write them out for yourself again so you know what you're doing. And then refer to them. Okay, 2 in the corner. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Now, down the sides here, you want to use only the back loops. And that way you have a nice distinctive line along the edge. See here? Gives you a nice line along the edge. No problem. But you don't do that on the corners. On the corners you go right through. On the sides you use the back loops only, and that gives you your very distinctive edging. So we're going to come down into the next stitch, do a single crochet right on that back loop. And we went to, the pattern says 15, I'm ending up with 18. So I'm going to make sure I have 18 stitches down the back. One in each loop as I go. Now this is the side that has 19. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip over to this one, come back and sneak into the one behind it. So I'm going to go in here, pull this up, and I'm going to sneak into this one behind it. And that way I combine the two in one single crochet. See there? You can't tell that I did that, and you still have your continuity of your line. Okay? And then just single crochet along. And each time you finish a side, go back and count your stitches and make sure it's the same as your other pieces. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do this. Well, chains can be a little hard to do sometime. Okay, now when you get to this, the other edge, you go into the last stitch before you get there, behind a back loop. Now this one you need 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do it like we did before when we were connecting them. We're going to go through this back little bump here. In fact, if you want to minimize, I don't know if that'll minimize it or not. Anyway, you can go through this back of this. And that gives you your 1 and your 2 and your 3, 2 in your corners, and then 1, and in this middle one we want 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 in the third one, 2 in your corner, and then single one in each one of these 3. Make sure you miss the one that you came down in and come into your next one. You continue on like that. Okay, now you'll have your nice line. Have your nice little line in here. Continue that on around. Okay, and the last thing we have to do is connect these two. And if you've looked around on the internet or read a lot of patterns, there's so many different ways to connect them. But I'm going to show you one way, and the pattern tells you another way. Okay? Okay, final stage, and that's sticking it together. You're going to put your pieces every other color. So I have this one with the light raspberry on the inside and on the major 12 flowers. I have this one with the raspberry on the outside and the petal pink on the inside. And this one going back to the raspberry on the inside and the 12 petals. Now on the instructions in the pattern, you put it back to back. So you hold your fronts like this and you pull them up like that. So they're back to back. You can tell the fronts for your loop. Hopefully by now you have put all your little ends together, stuck them all in so you have no ends. Because let me tell you, you don't want to have 36 of these with all their little ends in the back. It would take you days to put them in. Do it as you go, it's better. So you have it back to back. And using the loops that are closest together, the back loops of each one, we're going to start at the corner. We're going to go through the center of these 3 stitches that are right in the tip. Oop. Right, okay. And we're using the same color thread. You could use a contrasting one if you like. That would be an interesting look since it's a raised feature of the pattern. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay, now because it's supposed to be a raised edge, you're using single crochets. So you're going to go through the back loop here and the back loop here, bring a stitch through, and single crochet, just like that. Make sure it's the back loops only. Like that. You're going to end up with this lovely raised edge, which is definitely one of the features of the brocade throw. Hers is probably going to look prettier than mine because of that. I don't know, I've just got a thing about raised edges. Personal preference. When you get to the corner features, you want to make sure that you're still lined up properly. There's the stitch over here, the stitch over here. Now what happens if you have too many stitches in one spot? What if you've made a boo-boo and you're not going to line up properly? Okay. Remember what I did with the edge when I was taking care of another problem? I'm going to have to scrunch somebody up here. Like that. Well, let's see. Here's a stitch, here's a stitch, here's a stitch. I'm going to scrunch this up. And I'm going to put this here. Now the back one has one loop too many. So I'm going to go in this one. And I'm going to back up and I'm going to go in the last one. Putting the two together like that. Now on this side it looks like this. On this side it looks like this. And you can't really tell. There's no way to tell that you did that. It's a really sneaky way to do it. It works the same way in the front. If your front has too many stitches, go like this, and through this one, and then you go to your next back one. Like that. When you do your next two stitches, they'll close ranks, and you won't really be able to tell that you did anything. See there? I've connected two stitches there and you can't tell. Okay, I'm going to go back, do this side, and I'll be back and show you the, well, I can show you now, can't I? I mean, it's basically very simple. And there you have this nice raised feature between each square. It pretty much frames them very well. It'll make the whole thing stand out real pretty. See there? This nice raised feature. I have a blanket. Hold on a second. Where are you? Okay. This is what it looks like when you have the stand-up edges on all your squares. See, it kind of outlines and defines them. And that's what they're going for in the brocade. If you look on the picture, it gives you this stand-up feature. This is the side of this blanket my mom likes. And this is the side that I like. I did a half double connection with all of them, which gave me a nice edge here even though it's spread apart. So it's all a matter of preference. You should be able to do with crochet what you want to do with crochet. Okay. Now, I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to do it the way I do it, which is face to face. And I'm going to use the back loops only, which is what you did when it was back to back. And I'm going to slip stitch it down right across. So all you do is go across, slip stitch. Make sure your slip stitches are loose enough and tight enough. By that I mean you don't want to hold so much tension that your loops end up being smaller than what you're connecting, and you don't want them looser than what you're connecting. So if you were to do this real tight, where are you guys? Like this, you can tell at a glance that your slip stitches are smaller than the length of your stitches. See there? Your slip stitches are very short, and these are long. If you do that all the way along, you're going to have bunchy. You don't want bunchy. So you want to try to keep your slip stitches loose enough that they're the same length as your underlying stitches. And you can pretty much eyeball it as you go along. See? See? See, just like that. And you can tell the length of these is the same as the length of these. If you make it too loose, it's going to make your connection too wide. If you make it too tight, it's going to make your material bunch. So that's how you want to do it. Straight across. Like that. Hold on a minute. I've had so many people calling me outside the door today when I'm doing this. I've done 16 pieces so far. 16 different sets over twice. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue the slip stitch. Make sure it's loose enough. It doesn't take that much extra time to and put my glasses back on to check it out. So this is going to be the back. So it's going to be a slight edge on the back. See, you've got your edge on the back, your ridge. It's a pretty low ridge. And here's what it looks like on the front. This last one's stretching apart here. So there's your connection with your ridges on either side. And that's the second method of connecting it. I suggest, the pattern calls for 6-6. So I suggest you just go ahead and as you make them, connect them until you have 6, and then connect your next 6. And then you can come back and do your edges. And because you use the center one of each one of these, oh, cut that out. Come on. Shh. Okay. Because you use the center one of each of these, make sure that when you do the come across this way, you do the same thing. If you don't want it to bunch, you can do one single slip stitch or chain across from this one to this one and then go on that way. That way you won't get a pinched area. But it's very easy to do. I would go down the line and make sure that your features are connected across from each other, where your corners come, where these come to. And if you have any kind of a mismatch, you may find that one side needs to be scrunched in one area and the other side is going to need to be scrunched in another area. But I showed you how to do that, so you can end up with your features right across from each other, like that. Okay? This has been fun to do, and it didn't take that long. You can do one or two of these panels a day, or you can do it. Mikey's favorite way of doing an Afghan or something like that that has a lot of features is to do like all of these, and then all of these, and then all with the ring around it, and like that. So that as you finish each one, each section, you would have a whole bunch of these, because this is, you'd have like 16 of these with this color in the middle, and 16 of these with this color in the middle. Then you can go back and do all 36 with this ring around it, and then you just change colors. You do 16 with this color, 16 with this, and then you can do all 36. Is that 16? 18, pardon me, 18 of each. Then you can do all 36 with, no, you can't, can you? Yeah, same color, okay. Do all 36 with this color, because that stays the same. And then do your alternate colors of each kind. And then all of them get the same color around the petals. So you can go back and do all of them that way, and then come back and do your corner features, or do this feature, that's the same. Then come back and do your corner features of each color, and then your outside edge. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing it. Hope you don't mind that I didn't go all the way across. I've shown you what it looks like, front-wise and back-wise. This is all slip stitch. Like I said, you want to make sure your slip stitches are the same length as your regular stitches, and you get no bunching, just a nice smooth seam across. That's the secret to a smooth seam. The one that you make to connect it has to be the same size as the ones you're connecting, not looser and not tighter. Okay. I hope this took what's supposed to be a very complicated and advanced pattern and brought it into an area where you can really enjoy it, do it yourself, and have your friends and family drop their jaws when they see what you came up with. It is just so rich and beautiful looking. So, let me know what you think. Let me know what colors you used. And you have a wonderful time. Happy crocheting. Bye-bye. Good morning.